everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are starting a reading vlog. I was about to say weekly reading vlog, but I don't know how long this will be. Actually, it probably will be a week. I'd probably only do roughly a week because I'm planning on rereading the entire Murderbot Diary series for the 48-hour readathon, which I think I'll include in this vlog, but basically that's going to be like a lot of books, so we don't want to like have this be like 3 hours long. So it's probably going to be this week. So it's currently Easter Sunday. I've already eaten an entire Easter egg. Don't judge me. And I read To Be Thought of Fortunate today. I do have a couple of like fantasies that I still want to read this month, but I probably just won't include those in these vlogs. Because like, so I want to read like the Golden Enclaves and the Shadow Glass. Looks like I'll still count them for like points of the readathon, but I probably just won't vlog them because I just don't think there's much point. Like, I have a huge list. So like the list of like sci-fis that I want to read. So To Be Thought of Fortunate, This Is How You Lose the Time War, Winter's Orbit, Sleeping Giants, Elder Race, rereading the entire Murderbot Diary series, Gideon the Ninth, First Sister, Docile, Hench. I don't think I actually showed you in the last vlog. So in the last vlog, I brought all my like stuff home, including my like little small bookshelf that you sometimes see in the background, and so I've turned that into a TBR shelf. So you can see it over there, which like that's literally all of the books that are on my physical TBR. 22 books, so that's pretty good. Also 23 if you count the Bone Season, which I haven't finished yet, that is on my bedside, but that's for a different vlog, which should be up before this. So yeah, so 22 books, that's pretty good. So yeah, and the only problem is like I'm not going to be reading a lot of them this month. Okay, so I have finished To Be Thought of Fortunate by Becky Chambers, and I gave it 3 stars. So Becky Chambers is just like not the author for me. I know this at this point, and yet I still keep reading all of her books, which is stupid, but it's because they're short. And well, okay, so the ranking, because we all know how much I love to rank things. Long Way to Small Angry Planet is bottom. I think I technically gave that 3 stars, but it's like, it's actually a 2. Like, that book I found so incredibly boring. So boring. And like, but that one, like, that's very similar, I feel, to this one, To Be Thought of Fortunate. Except To Be Thought of Fortunate is smaller, therefore not as boring. And then I would put To Be Thought of Fortunate next, because as I said, it is very like Long Way to Small Angry Planet, but just shorter, which makes it does make it better because it's a lot quicker, and it gets the point across, the same point that it took like 400 pages to get across in the other one. And then I can't remember which I preferred. I think I might have preferred the second one in the Monk and the Robot duology, which I gave them also 3 stars, but like they were like a higher 3 stars. Like, I definitely see why people like those, but I mean, cozy fantasy I don't really think is for me, and I don't think cozy sci-fi is for me either. So I kind of knew that, but I wanted to give it a try, and I knew it would be short and I'd listen to it in like an hour. This basically follows this group of astronauts, and they are going out surveying different planets, and they are bringing back their results, and so they are, their jobs is to like do as little damage to these habitats as possible, but kind of just to observe and mark down different species of plants, animals, etc. that are found on these. And that's basically the plot. See, it's mostly about just their relationships and being stuck on this small ship together at times, and how that's hard, and missing your family and all of these things, and like wanting to do the right thing and not knowing if you're doing things for yourself or for the greater good. And like, I can see why people like these books. Like, there was moments where I was like, oh, this is sweet, but I'm like, I just don't care. I'm bored. Like, it was really short, but like, I was like, I don't care. As I said, I did prefer this to The Long Way to Small Angry Planet, and I do think that this actually did a better job of it, which is, I feel like, is ironic, because like the whole point of this is these books are like to grow attached to the characters and like appreciate the lessons that you're learning and just like the humanity of it all. And yet, so you would think that like a longer book, getting to know the characters better, would you know, make it even more impactful. Like, that is not true, because like The Long Way to a Smaller Planet drags so much, whereas this one, because it was short, it was much better, because you were just like, okay, you got a feel for the characters and you were like, okay, I understand them. Then it was done. And yeah, like, I liked it, but like, I'm gonna forget about it in like 2 days. So 3 stars. And yeah, like, as I said, I can definitely see why people appreciate it, but not for me. I want to try a lot of different like subgenres of sci-fi, and like, this is like, you know, cozy sci-fi. It's set in space, it's following scientists, like, it hits a load of different like tropes and stuff like that. So, you know, we can compare and contrast to some other things. So yeah, I think next I might start This Is How We Lose the Time War or The Elder Races. I'm not really sure, but either way, a novella. I'm like on the verge of slumping, and so like I want to read quick things to like make me feel like motivated. So yeah. Also, The Elder Races is a rec that I got from Emma on my TBR video, because I wanted a book that has clouds on the cover, so she told me that. So hello. So I last spoke to you about To Be Taught with Fortune, I believe, and so then after that I picked up The Elder Races, just Elder Race by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I've already finished it. It's a really interesting story, and like, just the differences in it, like, it made me check a little bit. We followed 2 points of views, and so one of them is Lear, I can't remember already. I think Lynn, and she has grown up on this planet, and she is like the 4th daughter of the queen, and she has been hearing reports of a demon in the forest. She kind of goes on a quest to go to this sorcerer that made a pact with her ancestor to, you know, come when her family needed it, and so that they can go and take down this demon. Now, the other point of view we follow is this sorcerer, and his name is like Nair, I don't know, but he is actually an anthropologist, and he was part of the people responsible for putting these people on this planet, and his job is to simply observe and see how their language, culture, etc. develops. So he is not a sorcerer, he is simply a scientist. And it is so funny. And because of that, the story is basically just talking about the differences between science and magic, and you know, how magic is just science that you don't understand, and all of that, all of those kind of like tropes. And it was so funny because like there was a bit of like a language barrier, because like it had been like hundreds of years since like he has last interacted with the people of this, so like that language has evolved and everything, so he was trying to get his point across, but the words didn't have the same meaning anymore. And it just, I think it was a really interesting like discussion on like, you know, how people, you know, evolve over time. And I had a really good time with it. Like, I'm not the biggest novella fan, but I do think that this was a really solid one, and it kept me engaged the whole time. After reading like the first 2 chapters, I was a bit like, I don't really get this. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of the writing, but then like as it kept going, like I really like got into the story, and I was like really absorbed into it. And like, as I said, it made me chuckle a bit, which doesn't happen very often. And yeah, and I liked the characters, and I liked the kind of, you know, friendship that built up between them, and I just really enjoyed all the discussions that were had in it. And so yeah, I gave it 4 stars. And so this is obviously like a fantasy sci-fi hybrid, and I don't really know what other kind of subgenres it would fall into in sci-fi. I guess it is in space. I suppose kind of similarly to Becky Chambers, it's about only being an observer. So like, that was something that the 2 of them had in common, but I did prefer this one. And that might be because he isn't actually just observing, he is breaking the rules. Whereas like with the Becky Chambers, like, I understood the point of it was like that they are simply there to observe, but like that kind of makes for a bit of a boring story. Like, it makes for a sweet story, but not a very exciting one. Whereas with this one, he's like actively breaking the rules and not just observing. And so It makes things a lot more interesting and exciting. This is very unflattering lighting, isn't it? It's because it's my iPad. Let's turn you off. Oh, that's even worse. Also, just like every time I update you, I'm just like lying down, relaxing. So yeah, let's bring the unflattering lighting back, because then at least there's something. I don't think I ever told you about how this is how we lose the time, or did I? I'll have to go back, and if I haven't, then I'll insert a clip. But I am currently about halfway through Sleeping Giants, and I am so bored. Like, and like the thing is, I can't DNF it. Like, I don't DNF anyway, but also, like, I am intrigued. Like, I'm so bored reading it, but I'm like, I want to know what the hell is going on. I do wish I had the audiobook. My library has the audiobooks for the second and third ones, but not for the first one, which is really annoying. So, like, I might continue the series because I've heard the audiobooks are really good, but I definitely wouldn't be, like, just reading the book, I feel like, if I have the audiobook as an option, but I don't, so oh well. It is, like, it's mixed media, but, like, it's mostly just, like, basically dialogue. And yeah, so it follows just like this kind of mysterious person, and they are basically interviewing a lot of people that are involved in this project of this like giant robot question mark, and they're trying to figure out what it is, what it's trying to tell us, and that's basically the story. And like, I am intrigued. I'm like, okay, what the hell is happening? But like, also, I'm so bored reading it, and it is so dry, and I'm losing my mind a little, I think. I want to try and finish it tonight, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, so. Okay, so it's been a while, but I have, what have I spoken to you about? I think I've spoken about To Be Told of Fortune. I definitely have. And Elder Ways. And I started talking about Sleeping Giants. Yes? Sleeping Giants, I ended up finishing it. I gave it a 2 stars. Oh my god. I'm trying to like piece together what I do and don't like about sci-fi, but like honestly, I still don't really know. Like, obviously it's a really small sample size, let's just say, but like I don't know. Sleeping Giants, oh god, I did not like that book at all. I said it when I was updating it, like, I was intrigued, like I constantly wanted to keep reading to find out like what the hell was going on, and then I got no payoff, so then I was really not. The plot was probably the thing that was best out of all of them, but like that's third on a list of 4, so like characters, I literally didn't care. I could barely tell some of them apart. Like, I did not care, and there was moments that I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to feel sad, but I don't. And I could not care less about the characters, and the writing style really doesn't lend you to feeling about it because of the fact it is like written transcripts and all that. And some of the characters I did understand their motivations, but like almost the bad guy, like I didn't understand. I didn't get it. I was like, I don't get why you're acting like this. Like, it was nearly like comically villainous, and I was like, world building. Obviously, it is set on Earth, but obviously there's like this unknown robot, alien, whatever, and it's just, I guess I expected some sort of payoff in book 1, but there wasn't really, and so it just annoyed me. I just feel like I didn't get any sort of explanation that I wanted to, and so it just left me really unsatisfied. And so like, those are the things that I love the most, like world building and characters. And like, the plot, as I said, I was intrigued. Like, I would, like, number 1, I don't DNF books, but like, apart from the fact I did really like I was intrigued about what was happening in the story, I would have DNF'd. And then last but not least is the writing style. Oh god, I hated the writing. I hated it. It is so dry, and like, I would just like to say that I would literally prefer to read an actual scientific paper that I'm supposed to like read for my upcoming summer exams than to actually read this book. That's how the writing was. Like, that's how dry it was. I was like, an actual scientific paper is more intriguing than this. And then yesterday, I read the entirety of The Girl in Red, which is like, I count it as a hybrid genre because it's like post-apocalyptic, which is kind of sci-fi. And like, well, no, there's definitely sci-fi elements, but it's also kind of horror. There was nothing too horrific about it. I've only read 3 of her books, but I feel like her books aren't really very horror-y. Like, there'll be like 1 or 2 scenes, but like they're not actually that much. Like, I feel like Near the Bone was the most horror-y out of the ones I've read. And that one, like, she built a really good atmosphere. And anyway, so the girl I read, it's like a Red Riding Hood retelling, and basically some sort of pandemic works out, and we follow our main character as she's trying to go to her grandmother's house, because that's what Red Riding Hood does. And obviously she encounters a lot of bad things on the way. I give it a 3 stars. It's a high 3 stars, so I did enjoy it. One thing I will say, like, Christina Henry's writing style is always like so easy, and like not easy in like a good, in like a bad way, because I feel like a lot of the times I'll say, oh yeah, this writing style was like really sucked you in and like got you engaged, and you just, you know, kept turning the page. And like I say it as like nearly in like a fan fiction, like it's not well written, but it's addictive. But like when I say it about Christina Henry, I mean like it's well written, but it's also like to the point and quick, and it gets you turning the pages. And like the thing I do know from Near the Bone that she can write an atmosphere, and in this one I just didn't really feel it as much. I think some moments I felt it more than others. I don't even really know what my problem was with this. I liked the characters. I enjoyed the discussions, because like our main character, she's disabled, and so people think she's not able to cope with all of these things, but she's also a very anxious person, and she like thinks a lot about like all of the things that could possibly go wrong, and I enjoyed that. I will say it was hard to kind of tell what age she was supposed to be at some points, because like I think she's like in her 20s, but like sometimes she read really young and sometimes she read really old. But overall I did enjoy her character. I enjoyed the complex relationships she had with her family. I think my main problem was just like the end was a bit too rushed. Like we got like a load of build up, and like in fairness I haven't read a lot of post-apocalyptic horror kind of things, so like maybe that's probably a pretty common thing where they're pretty open-ended. But I know I was just like, all this built up and I just ended. But overall enjoyed it. 3 stars. I'm here to wrap this vlog up. This was a very messy vlog, so sorry, but first half of Realmathon is done. So yeah, I've read a lot more books than I have read in this. It's just I mostly keeping to sci-fi in this, so I feel like that's important to note. I think I'm on 17 I think. Yeah, so I've read 17 books so far, but a lot of them have been fantasy, because I'm a fantasy girl at heart. I'm trying to remember what I have and haven't spoken to you about, because as I said, this was very messy. Apologies. So I think I talked to you about To Be Taught Fortunate. I gave that a 3 stars. I talked to you about Elder Race, which I gave a 4 stars. Then I haven't actually spoken to you, which I read this ages ago now. This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone, and I give this a 3 stars. So it follows 2 agents on different sides of a time war, and they start sending each other letters, and then they form this kind of a connection. And my brain hurt reading this. I liked it, hence a 3 stars, but I didn't love it. I don't think it's as confusing maybe as people think it is. I do think maybe not really a book you want to like binge. It is definitely a book maybe that's better to like read slow, but I don't think it's actually that confusing. It's like, it's kind of purposely keeping you in the dark, but like it's not that complicated, I think. And they don't really explain things, which is a little annoying to me, because I love things to be explained. So I think that's kind of why I didn't really love this book. Like, yes, the writing is stunning. Yes, the story is actually really intriguing. It does keep you going, and you do kind of want to get to the bottom of this. You want to see that more interactions between these 2 characters, but I just didn't really care that much about them. Like, everything moved really quickly. Like, I know it is a novella, but like they were writing only like a handful of letters to each other, and then they were like in love, and I'm like, okay, I guess. And as I said, also I just don't think things were explained enough for me to like really love it. Bone Seasons was in a different video, but that is technically a dystopian, which is a subgenre of sci-fi, but we're not going to talk about it. Then Sleeping Giants, I gave it 2 stars. The Girl in Red, that is like a horror post-apocalyptic book, so I don't think I'm going to discuss that when I'm like comparing them all. But I gave that 3 stars, and I think I did talk about it in this vlog. And then the latest books that I've read are the Murderbot Diaries, which I don't have the second one. I'm waiting for that to come in the post, because basically, I'm not sure how I mentioned this. So obviously Book Depository is closing down. If you didn't know that, I'm sorry to break the news to you. And so I went onto Book Depository and I was like clearing out my wish list and moving it to Amazon and all of that. And I have a wish list that is like books that I love that I want to buy, because like every so often I'll read an ebook or an audiobook and I'll really love them and I'll be like, I want to have them on my shelves to be like, this represents my reading. But you know, I don't want to spend huge amounts of money on books that I've already bought. And I was like, okay, it's now or never. I actually already owned the 4th one. The 4th one I've owned for like a year now, but the rest of them I haven't. So I probably should have, I literally only got them this morning, so I probably should have opened them on camera, but whoops. So I went on and I just bought them and was like, might as well. And which is a good thing that I did, because when I went on to like Amazon, because I was like, I think it was Network Effect, which is the full length novel, like it was like really expensive, and I was like, let's see how much it is on Amazon, and like Amazon won't send it to me. I'm like, what? So yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm buying them, because who knows if I'll be able to buy them in person. So yeah, so anyway, there was a reason I was talking about these. I reread them all yesterday and the day before for the Peace Talks, and I had a great time. Yeah, so the first book is All Systems Red. I gave it 5 stars. Then we have Artificial Condition, which I don't have yet, which I gave 4 stars. Then we have Rogue Protocol, which I gave 4 stars. Then we have Exit Strategy, which I gave 5 stars. Then we have Network Effect, which is the full-length novel, and I gave this 4 stars, which I actually, well, I originally gave it 4. Then when I reread it last year, okay, I read it for the first time last year in like March, and then I reread them all in like September. But when I first read it, I gave it 4, then I gave it 5, and now I'm giving it 4 again. Because I don't think this one is like one that you want to read in like one go. And then Fugitive Telemetry, I give this 5 stars, which I originally gave it 4, and now it's 5. So yeah, so we did a bit of a switcheroo between these two. So yeah, also this one is taller than the rest, which is so annoying to me. But it's fine, it's fine. So yes, so yeah, I'm very happy to own them. I love them a lot, okay? We're gonna just talk about this as like one collective. And so Murderbot for, I was going to do a like separate reading vlog for like Peace Talks, but I was like, it'll just be me rereading Murderbot. And I'm like, is that interesting? I don't think so. So I'm gonna just like quickly talk about them. This series follows Murderbot, and it has hacked its governor module, and that means that they are a rogue sec unit, and instead of like, you know, killing a load of people or running away or any of this stuff, it just decides to watch soap operas and half-ass its job. And like the crew is like attacked, and it ends up actually like properly doing its job. And I love these books, okay? I love Murderbot, and it is a great time. Like, as I said, when I first read them, I gave them all 4 stars. I was like, they're fun, but like they're not books that I'm gonna like, you know, they're not like books that I love and I'm gonna like constantly think about. But then I constantly thought about them, and it's like, maybe I was wrong. And so then when I reread them, I bumped some of them up to 5 stars. So yeah, which is odd for me because I am usually not a novella girly, but which we're getting onto. I think I might be a sci-fi novella girly though, despite the fact I gave a load of them 3 stars, but maybe. What books are we comparing for my sci-fi taste test? So we are talking about To Be Taught If Fortunate, Elder Race, This Is How You Lose the Time War, Sleeping Giants, and then Murderbot. See, the only 5 stars I've had are the Murderbot ones, which, lovable characters. I feel like that is a pretty obvious one. I do like novellas. A lot of these were. The only one that wasn't was Sleeping Giants, which I thought that book was way too long. So despite the fact that some of them were 3 stars, which 3 stars is a good rating, so I do think that I like sci-fi novellas. Yeah, so I do think that I do like sci-fi novellas, but again, I will be doing a part 2 of this before the end of the month, so which in that one I would be reading longer books, I'm pretty sure. Also does action. because to be taught or fortunate, that the whole point of that book is that they are just observers. They are not actively interacting with their environment, and I found that incredibly boring. This is how you lose the time war. It's not really action, like there's a little bit at the end, which I was intrigued about, but I wouldn't necessarily call it extremely action-packed. Then Elder Race, yes, there is some action in that, and which I gave that a 4 stars. And because in theory, Elder Race and To Be Taught or Fortunate, the characters are supposed to be very similar, because like one is an anthropologist who has been sent to observe this world as it develops, and then the other crew is a group of scientists that are just like taking samples and all of this and are just supposed to observe the world. But in Elder Race, he breaks the rules and actually actively participates in the world, so there is some actual action. Sleeping Giants, I felt like there was very little. There was little bits here and there, but because of the fact it is told through interviews and files, you never actually feel a part of the action. All Subsystems Red, there's a lot of it. There's a lot. So we like short, action-packed. But then again, I did like Network Effect, and that is long, but it also has action and lovable characters. So I like things to be explained. I feel like is another do, because again, so To Be Taught or Fortunate, things are, and I did actually enjoy that bit when they're like so excited about like these new creatures that they've found, and they're like talking about their process. I did enjoy that bit, those bits. And then like after that it then quieted down for another bit, and I was like, this is so boring. Elder Race, again, we do have the world building, and that I actually really enjoyed, because we are getting 2 different perspectives on the world building. So we're getting one who thinks that it is basically like a fantasy world, and another who is like, this is a science world. And like both sides made sense, and like it was very well explained despite the fact it was a novella, and so I really enjoyed that. This is How You Lose the Time War, I don't think really did a good job of explaining what happened to the world, why it is this way, what the whole goal of this is. Like obviously it is to like get the timeline they want, but I just never feel like it was fully developed, and the like mechanisms behind the time travel, I don't think that was ever fully explained either. And that is not the goal of this book, I would like to say. Like the goal of the book again is like the characters, but I need a bit more than that. Sleeping Giants, I just, yeah, nothing was explained. Like that is a series, so I suppose it is explained by the end, but I wanted something. You needed to give me something to keep me going through the first book, and I didn't get it, and so I was extremely bored. And then All Systems Right, I love the world building in that, and it's fairly straightforward. It's nothing complicated, but it's understandable and it's fun. I feel like we haven't really clarified much, except for the fact things that we already knew, like good characters. I like good world building. We already knew this. So we really have not clarified much. I will have a second part to this up at some point before the end of the month, or maybe start of next month. We'll see. Based on like what I have said that I like and dislike about these books, tell me what sci-fis you think I should try. And yes, so thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.